What's up? Tonight we're going to talk about the 2014 to 2018 Chevy Silverado, aka the 2015 to 2019 GMC 1500 respectively. This is a monstrous pickup and there are a lot of them on the road, and I'm sure all you guys want a better stereo system, so let me explain to you how to get exactly what you want. First of all, tonight we did all of our shopping at Crutchfield, and I'm going to explain why we did this tonight. It's because Crutchfield offers a lot whenever you purchase equipment from them. Number one, you get the sheets explain to you exactly how to take apart everything you need to remove in your vehicle, and it gives you all the details you need. Number two, when you order stereos, speakers, other things from them, they automatically include for free in your cart the stuff that you need to install it. For example, in this particular pickup truck, the front speakers, although they are a 6x9-ish cutout, it looks like a big old goldfish holding the door, so you need an adapter plate to put a 6x9 there. You also would need an adapter plate to put a 6.5-inch driver there. Whatever it is you decide to put in that door, Crutchfield includes that mounting hardware to be able to do that for free. They also give you the wiring harness adapters you need for your speakers, so you can plug it straight into the factory wiring harness with the nice little wires that plug straight into your speakers. No cutting of wires, no trying to figure it out. It can go right back to factory when you want to. Perfection. Crutchfield is your go-to location for all of your car stereo installation needs, especially if you are a DIYer like us. I am including links to everything that I've selected in this build in the description of the video. So if you guys want to know where to pick the stuff up at, it's right down there. I have no affiliate links. I don't get paid anything for you clicking on the links. It's just a link to the stuff. So enjoy yourself. And I took the time to leave that information for you so you could easily get to it. Like I said, Crutchfield's where you want to buy this stuff. Unless you can get it somewhere else with a deep discount, Crutchfield's going to be your best choice because of the hardware they include with every piece. So let's get started. The first piece of equipment is the head unit. Now, understand in this build, I was not trying to stay economical. I was also not going buck wild. I'm not out here spending money just to spend money. So what I'm doing in this build is spending the money in the places that are going to get you the best rewards. So we're not going to chance on anything, but we're not going to be stupid about it either. And the head unit's one location when we don't have to spend a lot of money to get a lot of features. And what we're looking at here is the Kenwood DMX4707S. It is $249. But this head unit also gives you wired Android Auto. It gives you mirroring for your Android. That's a big deal to me. And of course, it gives you the wired Android Auto and CarPlay. You can personalize the backgrounds. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it. And with Crutchfield, you get the whole mounting kit that you need to install it in your vehicle. The harnesses, the brackets, everything is included. This particular unit is relatively inexpensive, but amazingly it has my very favorite feature, mirroring. So you can hook up your phone, select mirroring, and anything that you see on your phone will show up on your radio. You can watch video games, you could watch movies, whatever you want. It is a nice unit and it does exactly what we need it to do in this build for a relatively low amount of money. Keep up with the prices, guys. Some of this stuff isn't cheap, but like I said, I picked the best, not the cheapest. Okay, I picked the best for the money. The next thing we're going to want in this chain is our DSP. You can skip this piece in this particular build, okay, because all the stuff I have selected, if it needs passive crossovers, it comes with them. The amplifier that I've got in here will handle amplifying the whole setup without a DSP. So if you don't want the amazingness of a DSP, you can skip this part. However, I'll show you what I have in this build. I have the AD Audio Dynamic ADD SP68AT. What that literally means is it's the Audio Dynamic 6 in 8 out auto tuning DSP. That DSP, of course, does 6 in 8 out, lets you auto tune, so you can get the microphone for like $100, plug it in, hook the thing up to your laptop or your phone, well actually your laptop for the auto tune feature, run that and it will completely tune the vehicle for you. Of course, you can also completely tune it manually, or you can split the duty up. Personally, I run the auto tuner on my graphics equalizer for each driver, and then I go in and manually set my own time alignment and adjust my crossover points and all that. So I do a little bit of both, but it's wonderful having that feature to cover some of that workload for you if you don't want to go through the hassle of completely equalizing each speaker yourself. So it's a really good feature in a DSP, and this one does a bang up job at that feature. So this guy will handle, also if you wanted to keep your factory head unit, this guy will do the summing for you. So it can sum those mixed frequencies. If you don't have to buy a signal summer, you don't have to buy a line output converter, you don't have to buy any of that stuff. You can run straight from the factory speaker outputs from your stereo right into this DSP, and it can do all that stuff for you. Give you an amp level signal with all the control you want. But in this case, we're using an aftermarket stereo, so that's not even an issue. Having said that, that guy is $600, and it's $600 of awesomeness. It's money well spent. Keep that pen and paper out because we're going to keep on going. For the front doors, I know you guys thought I was going to get some recoil audio speakers, and I'm going to tell you, I looked at them. I looked at what was available in this particular build for this particular setup. I did not go with recoil audio drivers. Although I have no problem with them, they didn't have the exact thing that I was looking for this build. So I went with my other standby, JBL. I love a good JBL speaker. And one of my very favorites is the JBL Stadiums. So for the front doors, we went with the JBL Stadium 962CF at $431 a pair. And for the rears, we went with the JBL Stadium 62F. And what that means is, in the front, we went with a 6x9 component set consisting of a 6x9 woofer and a little tweeter. The 6x9 woofer will mount right down there in that little ring that Crutchfield's going to send you. Mounts in there, clips in there, put your sound deadener around it, get that door panel back on, go up in the dash, pull the little cover out, use the little bracket that Crutchfield sent you, take that little crappy 3-inch out of there, put the bracket in there, put the tweeter in there, Bob's your uncle, run both of those to your amplifier, and you got 1, 2, and 3, and 4 channels up there in the front stage. That's a done deal. In the back, we're running a 6.5-inch coaxial in the rear doors. You can leave this out, and you probably won't notice the difference. But if you're one of those rear field kind of people, and I get it, I understand, then you definitely want these drivers in there. They're going to give you the best complementary sound front to back. The tweeters are the same, the attenuation is the same, the frequency responses are the same. The 6x9s in the front doors will give you a lot more bass up front, and bass up front is something that's epically hard to get. In every stereo system you do, the number one thing you're always thinking about from the very beginning is how much bass can I get up front, because that's the hardest part of solving that problem. You get that problem solved, the rest falls into place, no problem. Being as these JBL Stadiums are what they call the 1+ cones. The cone is actually a little bit bigger than the normal driver that fits in that same size. So those 6x9s are actually like a 6.5 by 9.5. They're a big old driver, which means you're going to get a whole lot of good solid mid bass up front. Now let's move on to the amplifier. For the amplifier, I had a lot of deciding to do. I went through a exhausting list of amplifiers, and there's some that are a little bit better suited, but they're more than twice the price, and I just couldn't justify the jump in the amount you were getting for the amount you were paying. You could also split this job up into 2 amplifiers, but you're still going to end up paying more than you are for this one. I think the amp I chose is perfect for this particular build. In the end, I chose the JBL Club A5055 5-channel amplifier. It does around 50 to 75 watts, and I'll explain that in a minute. 50 to 75 watts a channel for the 4 channels, and 500, I think it's 500 or 600 watts at the rear. It's 500 watts on the subwoofer channel. The reason I said 50 to 75 is because it does 50 watts at 4 ohms, 75 watts at 2 ohms. But the JBL Stadiums are all rated at 3 ohms. So it's going to be somewhere between 50 and 75, probably 60 to 70 watts, because they're going to be underrated a little bit anyway. So it's probably going to be closer to 75 watts per channel. The JBL Stadiums are very efficient. So even with a little bit of power, like 50 watts, they're going to get very involved in the situation. So when you're looking at pushing closer to 75, maybe even 80 watts into them, they are going to get down. So if you're going to run this setup full active with the DSP, you're going to have to add another 2-channel amplifier to this setup. And JBL does have a 2-channel. I didn't put it in this lineup, but just understand that. You've got 5 channels and you're going to have 7 speakers. So if you want to go passive on the front stage and just use the passive crossover and run 1 and 2 as the front, letting the crossover split it into the tweeter and the woofer, and then come to the back and run 3 and 4 in the back, and then 5 on the sub, the amp will work just fine. But if you want to split up that front stage and have 1, 2, 3, and 4, then 5 and 6 in the back, and then run the sub, which this DSP can handle, you're going to need to add another 2-channel amplifier in there to amplify 2 of those channels. And I would say, if you're going to do that, I honestly wouldn't put the rear drivers in the rear doors at all. I just wouldn't buy those. I would just use the amp to amplify the front stage and call it good. You're going to probably, like I said, you're not going to hear those rear doors anyway. That front stage is going to dominate the whole vehicle. And, you know, who cares if the kids back there are having the perfect experience, man? I'm all about me and the wife. As long as we're happy, psh, everybody's happy. The kids can eat a freaking hot dog and, you know, whatever. You eat your hot dogs and be quiet. Anyway, guys, this amp is a solid choice for this stereo system. So we have but 1 spot left to go. And honestly, this is my favorite about this particular build. My favorite part is the fact that JL Audio makes a Stealthbox that fits up front. Like I said, the hardest thing to do in a car audio build is get bass in the front. And having a Stealthbox in the console, running that sweet 5th channel power right in there, 500 watts. That thing is rated for between 300 watts RMS and 600 watts RMS. Feeding it a nice little even smooth 500 watts. Right there between the seats with those oversized bi-9s on either side. Man, this thing's going to have a destructive front stage. It's going to have all kind of thunder up there. So I'm really, really, really excited about that whole concept. Having that subwoofer up front with those bi-9s, that's going to be huge. This thing's going to sound so sexy. So that box and sub is $1,000. It ain't cheap, but it's absolutely worth it. So if you guys were keeping track, I didn't tell you about the amp price, $404. So we're looking at it's $8.99 for the subs. We're looking at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and a half, and 25, 26, 27, somewhere south of about $2,800 for the whole setup. And we're talking about a very, very nice system. And it's really hard to build a nice system for less than that much money. Now you'll notice I didn't include the wiring, but there's only 1 amp, so that's not going to be difficult. And I did not include sound deadener. And anytime you take anything out of the vehicle and you see some metal, slap some sound deadener on it. Just get her done. And if you're doing this build, I highly recommend pulling the front seats out when you start the build and running your wires all very carefully close to the hump in the center from front to back, mounting your amplifier in between the sitting positions in the back, in the middle, right in there in that middle hump area. Mount your amp there, run your wiring to that, mount your DSP up front and behind the radio, and do a drop down with a USB cable so you can plug in your computer from under the dash and you can plug microphone and everything else in. Have that DSP mounted somewhere up front to where you can pretty easily get down and find it and see the end of it, because there's going to be times when you're going to be wanting to plug stuff into it in and out, and having it up front is going to make that a lot easier than in the back. It also gives you access to all the different things that you can do on the DSP physically. And you can run shorter cables to the DSP. Run your 5 outputs back to your amp right alongside or on the other side of the hump from your power wires. You got your power wires on the driver's side, your signal wires on the passenger side, right back to your amplifier. And Bob's your uncle. Everything will be awesome. Because you're going to probably need to do that to get the console part up, to put that subwoofer under the console. And you're going to need access to that. Pulling those front seats out is a pain. But in the end, it's going to end you up with a much, much cleaner install. And you'll be a lot happier with it. And plus, you can do the sound deadener under there while you're there. Run your wires carefully straight. You know, get them secured in locations where they're not going to get stepped on, squished, kicked, mangled. There won't be any sound interference or any nasty things happening to them. Life will be good. Take the time to do that part first. Drop your subwoofer into the console. Run its wires back there with the rest of them. Anyway, that's the pickup that I got for you guys for the Chevy Silverado 1500 in the 2014 to 2018 range. If you guys found this helpful, be sure and hit the subscribe button and throw some comments down and let me know what kind of vehicles you want to see next. Let me know what you would do different on this build. Let me know about how your cat is more awesome than my cat. And peace out.